Richard the Lionheart was born on September 8, 1157, at Beaumont Palace in Oxford, England. He was the third legitimate son of King Henry II of England and Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, a powerful and influential woman who shaped much of the politics of her age. From childhood, Richard displayed qualities that set him apart: a tall and imposing presence, remarkable physical strength, and a fearless spirit. Unlike many princes of his time, Richard was not content to remain in the background. He yearned for the battlefield, where glory and honor could be won. Although an English-born prince, Richard spent most of his youth in France, in the vast and wealthy territories inherited from his mother. The Duchy of Aquitaine, a region known for its culture, wealth, and political turbulence, became the foundation of his power. There, Richard learned the intricacies of warfare, the art of commanding men, and the politics of medieval courts. He grew up immersed in the chivalric ideals of the 12th century, which praised bravery, loyalty, and the pursuit of eternal honor. When his father, King Henry II, died in 1189, Richard ascended the throne as King Richard I of England. From the very beginning, it was clear that Richard would not be a king who ruled from the safety of his court. His vision was that of a crusader and a warrior. He devoted his reign to battles abroad, leaving the governance of England largely in the hands of his ministers and, at times, his brother John. But his charisma, bravery, and knightly virtues won him admiration across Europe. It was during this time that he earned his immortal epithet, the Lionheart. Richard's reign is most famously remembered for his central role in the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192. The crusade was launched in response to the stunning victory of the Muslim leader Salah ad-Din, or Saladin, who had reclaimed Jerusalem in 1187. The news of Jerusalem's fall sent shockwaves across Christendom, and Richard quickly took up the cross, determined to confront Saladin and restore Christian control over the Holy City. In 1190, Richard set out with a formidable army. His journey, however, was far from smooth. He quarreled with his fellow crusaders, including King Philip II of France, whose envy and rivalry with Richard would shape much of their relationship. Despite these tensions, Richard proved himself the most capable of the crusader leaders. His arrival in the Holy Land struck fear into his enemies and gave new hope to his allies. One of Richard's greatest victories came in 1191 at the Battle of Arsuf, where he decisively defeated Saladin's forces. His courage on the battlefield was legendary. He fought at the front lines, wielding his sword with unmatched skill, rallying his troops, and turning the tide of battle at critical moments. This victory cemented his reputation as one of the greatest military commanders of his age. Yet despite his successes, Richard could not achieve his ultimate goal, the recapture of Jerusalem. Political realities, the strength of Saladin's armies, and divisions among the Crusaders made this impossible. Instead, in 1192, Richard negotiated the Treaty of Ramla with Saladin. The agreement allowed Christian pilgrims to safely visit Jerusalem while the city itself remained under Muslim control. Though it fell short of full victory, the treaty was seen as an honorable compromise and a testament to the mutual respect between Richard and Saladin. Remarkably, the two legendary leaders, though fierce opponents, admired one another's courage and sense of honor, a rare example of chivalry transcending religious conflict. Richard's return home was fraught with danger. In 1192, while traveling back through Europe, he was captured by Duke Leopold V of Austria, a former ally turned enemy. Richard was handed over to Emperor Henry VI, who imprisoned him and demanded an enormous ransom for his release. The people of England were forced to pay a staggering sum, a burden that strained the kingdom's economy. Yet this episode only enhanced Richard's legendary status, a king held captive like a knight in a tale of romance and adventure, awaiting the loyalty of his people to secure his freedom. After his release in 1194, Richard returned not to England, but to the continent, where he resumed his long struggle against King Philip II of France. His reign was dominated by constant warfare, as he defended his French territories against his ambitious rival. For Richard, the battlefield was always the true stage of kingship. But in 1199, Richard's story came to a sudden and tragic end. While besieging a small and relatively insignificant castle in Limousin, he was struck by a crossbow bolt. Though initially not fatal, the wound became infected, and on April 6, 1199, Richard the Lionheart died at the age of 41. His death shocked Europe. He was buried in the Abbey of Fontevraud in France, near his father Henry II and later his mother Eleanor of Aquitaine. In the centuries that followed, Richard's name lived on in legend. He was celebrated not only in chronicles and ballads but also in the imagination of generations that saw him as the embodiment of the knightly ideal. To his subjects in England, his long absence and the heavy taxes required for his wars made his reign difficult. Yet in the eyes of Europe, he remained the model of the warrior king, the brave crusader who faced Saladin and carried the banner of Christendom with unshakable courage. Richard the Lionheart was, in truth, both man and myth. As a man, he was often reckless, driven by ambition and glory, and largely absent from the kingdom he ruled. But as a myth, he became immortal, a symbol of valor, chivalry, and the unyielding spirit of the Middle Ages. His story continues to fascinate historians, writers, and audiences worldwide, making him one of the most enduring figures of medieval history.